Today, I had the pleasure of hosting Jessica Papineau, who is the founder of CSJ Styling. She helps women dive deep more than just their fashion. When you look good, you feel good. Jessica is offering a few free opportunities, so tune in to see how you can look and feel your best. Hello, fellow mompreneurs. Welcome to the Real Moms Podcast, the go-to space for resilient entrepreneurs who are striving for abundant living. I'm your host, Shae Spitz, a mompreneur and a realtor here in Columbus, Nebraska. Are you a mom juggling the hustle of entrepreneurship, family life, and personal growth? Well, you're in the right place. On this podcast, we dive deep into the real, unfiltered stories of incredible women who are navigating the journey of mompreneurship. We'll celebrate the victories, share practical insights, and acknowledge that it's okay to face challenges along the way. Success isn't about the destination. It's about the journey and the growth we experience as we balance our careers and the chaos of family life. Whether you're a seasoned mompreneur or just starting on this exciting path, join me and our amazing guests as we explore what it truly means to be a resilient entrepreneur striving for abundant living. Get ready for real, raw, and remarkable conversations that will inspire and uplift you. Because here at the Real Moms Podcast, we believe in the power of community, authenticity, and the strength that comes from embracing the journey together. So grab your coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's dive into the world of mompreneurship. This is the Real Moms Podcast, where we celebrate the hustle, honor the struggle, and thrive as resilient entrepreneurs living abundantly. Welcome to another episode of Real Moms Podcast. I like to start every podcast off with a motivational quote, and today's quote is, accepting just good enough energy means accepting mediocrity in our lives. So the founder of CSJ, a leading styling company for high-performing female entrepreneurs and other women who simply want to look and feel their best, I have Jessica Papineau, has spent over 25 years in the fashion industry, teaching women how to use fashion to serve their purpose, boost their confidence, and elevate their image. Jessica has styled hundreds of women, from moms struggling to dress their postpartum bodies, to businesswomen seeking to level up their careers, to seven-figure entrepreneurs and professionals in the entertainment, sports, and music industries. With the goal of helping women imagine more for themselves, break free from what's holding them back, and show the world who they truly are, Jessica is committed to empowering women to elevate their style and transform their careers, relationships, and lives. So Jessica, thank you so much for being here. And I can only imagine how fashion can transform a woman's life.
Yes. Thank you so much, Shae, for having me. I'm so excited to be here today, and for all your moms listening to be here listening to us. So, yes, really with fashion, that's really the vehicle for what I'm helping women do. So it's really about, women being able to step into their full power. And what I mean by that is, I believe all of us have our God-given gifts to share with the world. And I think oftentimes as women, as moms, as entrepreneurs, we try to be the best version of ourselves in every area of our life. And I know, as being that high-performing woman, I have a family. I'm trying, I work on being the best in my business. We're constantly, reinventing the business and striving for success. And, you mentioned about mediocrity, my quote there about mediocrity. And I don't accept mediocrity. I don't accept mediocrity for myself. I don't accept it for the people that work with me, because I want to deliver the best. And I think as being that high-performing woman, sometimes you're so, caught up in, okay, my family needs me for this, or I want to, be the best I can. And there's this feeling of push, this feeling of striving, of the grinding, of grit, and we all have it, right? But we don't take that moment necessarily of pause to really reflect internally on what we really love, on what we really desire. Because when we tap into that piece, that's really when we can fully discover what that gift is. Because it's what lights us up, and that passion, that's our gift. Right. And so I know this sounds really odd, but I'm going from the outside in. So, typically I'm gonna. I didn't intend on explaining this process, but I'm just gonna explain this to you because I've witnessed it so many times, and with thousands of women. I think it says hundreds in there. We probably wrote that a couple years back.
Right.
But what I see women do when they look in the mirror is they focus in on what they don't love about themselves. Like they see it. They don't look at themselves as a whole body. Like they focus in on what they don't like and what they're shameful of, right? And so their eye goes right to that area, whether that be their backside or their stomach or their hips or whatever it is, right? And say it's their stomach. They just look in that one spot and they don't see themselves. And in doing that, when you set your day up that way, when you're putting your clothes on and you're, seeing what you don't love, so you take that big sweater and you just put it over and you don't tuck your shirt in because you're trying to cover up. What that's doing is it's magnifying that feeling of I don't love myself, or that feeling of like not being connected to self, right? And when you focus in on what you don't like, it's just, you get into this spiral, right? And when you cover yourself, because this is what women do, is they cover the areas that they don't like.
Yeah.
But in doing that, it sets them up for I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be fully seen. So what she does is she's not fully empowered because she hasn't claimed it. When I see a woman, when I dress her and she can look in the mirror and I can show her how to use the fit and the fabric of clothing. And most women, there's so much confusion out there. It's like social media and influencers and this is the fashion world and here's the trends. It's so confusing for women and it doesn't have to be. When you can discover really great fabrics that just lay nicely on your body, that you can put on like a really pretty, say, silk blouse and a great pair of trousers that are high in the rise, that have a little bit of lycra in them, that kind of lift and shape and do all the things and tuck it in and put on a belt and look in the mirror, and instead of feeling like you want to cover anything, that you see the curvature of your waist. You're not looking at the area, where you had the babies and maybe there's like a little bit of, something there that you see that not everybody's seeing. You start to see your shape. You start to love yourself, and you can look in the mirror at when you're ready to start your day and you go, wow, I feel beautiful. And instead of looking at what you don't love and seeing what you do love, your eyes actually, I know this sounds really hokey, but your eyes actually connect to your own eyes in the mirror. And that's where the empowerment is. That's where you can really connect to self and set your day up for success in a way that you're getting over yourself. Like you're more in this service mind of this passion, allowing that passion to flow through you, and you're fully showing up in your power, and it changes the frequency even at which you walk into the rooms. And as that entrepreneurial woman, as that woman in business, we want to attract our client. We want to attract the person that we serve deeply. And when we feel great and that frequency is there, when we walk into a room, those that we are meant to serve are just attracted to us.
Right. Right. Well, when you look good and you feel good, and it's funny that you bring that up because especially the last couple of days, I haven't been out of the house because of the snow and stuff like that. So today was the first time I put makeup on since Sunday, and it's Wednesday already, but it makes you just feel so much better when you do put that time and effort. I would say for fashion, I've always told myself and other people I'm not a fashionable person. But I know that when I do find something that looks good on me, I do get a lot of compliments, but for me, it's always been a challenge, dressing myself and, I don't know what works well. And so having somebody like you, I'm sure you can just see something and know for you whether that's going to be good. So how take me through like the process when you're working with somebody, say me, for instance, like I'm going to come to you and I want you to dress me. Like what works for me, what doesn't, what should I do? Because I think every woman, most women at least, we do look in the mirror. We see things that we don't like. One of my biggest, um, the thing that I don't like most about me is my thighs. I don't know why. It's always been, I felt like my thighs have always been big. People might say, Shae, you're crazy. But that's just always been my self-conscious. And depending on how I eat and stuff like that, sometimes my stomach. But my thighs. So it, obviously, I mean, what does that look like when somebody's coming to you and they want you to dress them?
Well, there's the first part of my process. So I have a four-part process that I take my clients through. And this is like 25 years being in this business and really understanding women and what their needs are and what they want. And really taking the confusion out. We don't even talk about clothes to start. It has nothing to do with the clothes. What we first focus on, because like I mentioned, Shae, the woman that I'm serving is that high performing woman. She feels a little like, as that high performer, sometimes she feels a little bit different too in her family or her friend group or whatever, because she's striving for more. She always wants to reinvent herself. She has a growth mindset. And so when I was mentioning before about that woman really not taking that pause to really think about what she desires, that's the space that I sit in with her. So this is way more than fashion. Really what I'm doing, Shae, is also coaching women. But like I said, my approach really is the outside in. And so I really sit in this space with her initially and ask her some questions. Like, what do you really love? You know, what do you love about what you're currently doing? What are your, what is that thing that lights you up? And it's so funny because typically she'll start talking about her goals, and she'll start talking about what, like, it'll be like a rehearsed answer is what it sounds like. Like, I want the job promotion, or it's something that almost like she feels like she should say that. And then, so I'll stop her and I'll say, well, tell me more. Like, what do you really love? What do you do in your free time? What lights you up? And we'll start talking about it. And then I always see, like, because when someone begins asking us questions, and I really want these women to feel seen, heard, and held. And I want to see them. And when someone feels like you're listening to them and you're really seeing them, that armor starts to come down. And my gift really is holding that space. And so I hold that space with her. And once she can finally start telling me what that thing is, and sometimes it has to do with what they're currently doing, but maybe just a little bit more expanded. They start to expand their thinking and start thinking, well, I could do more. But sometimes it's something different. Like, maybe they're an executive in a tech company, but they want to write a book, you know? And
Right.
so I get her to kind of tell me a little bit about it, like really go into depth. And typically once I do that, that's when the tears come. And I'll see her lip quiver. And this is all by Zoom. Like, I'm connecting with these women by Zoom. And I'll say, well, tell me about that emotion. Like, what's going on? And she'll say things like, no one's ever asked me what you're asking me. No, I've never actually even thought about myself what I really want. And from there, we really lean in. And I get her to tell me, like, I get her to step into that space of what that woman looks like and feels like. And what does it look like to be in a moment of what that woman that you desire to be is doing. So maybe you're sitting there and you're signing the book and people are coming up. Like, I get them to envision it. Sometimes it's really difficult for women to, I didn't realize that it was a superpower of mine to imagine. So when she starts telling me, I literally can close my eyes and I see what she looks like. If she can explain the feeling and where she is and the whole thing, I close my eyes and I see her. And we start to talk about what she looks like. And once we have a good grasp on that, with that lens of this woman that she desires to step into, That's when we either figuratively or literally step into her closet. I'm working virtually, so
Right.
and
Right.
we begin extracting from the wardrobe the pieces that align with the woman she's ready to step into. And, I used to go through this whole process, and I do have a digital course out there where women can learn how to know, does the item stay or go? Like, oftentimes we have things in our wardrobes that are really from our past, or things that don't fit us, or tags on it, that kind of thing. But when you really break it down, I don't like to focus on what's not working. Let's focus on what is working. Let's extract those pieces. And sometimes there's not a lot of pieces, but that's okay. So then from there, it's really formulating, I call it the cake. And the cake really is those foundational pieces that the woman that you're ready to step into is wearing. And that woman deserves to wear amazing pieces. She deserves to go and buy herself a great black suit. Like, that's a foundational thing, right? To go and get that suit that, maybe it's a little bit more expensive than what she's done in the past. I see a lot of women that actually are very successful, and they're not feeling worthy of going and getting themselves something that doesn't have to be like super high-end designer, but something that's made really well. Like, I carry my own inventory, and I do this for the purposes of making sure that I have the pieces that women really need, that are going to feel good on their body. And so then I show them how to build this foundational wardrobe. Great pair of fitting denim, the perfect white and black t-shirt, the silk camisole that you wear under a blazer. And then finding those pieces that really, like I said, line up with her. And you can and I get her to kind of picture herself being at the table, signing the book, and she's wearing the suit, and she is deserving of wearing that suit. And then teaching her how to pull in, strategically add, the icing on the cake, the belt, the perfect earrings, the necklace, the details, because it's all in the details. Right. And then we focus on, all of her upcoming events, and I formulate her outfits for her from day to night. And we need to check all the boxes of her lifestyle too, because many women they have, all their suiting or these different things for executive positions, or, as, showing the home to their potential client and all these things. But when they're at home with the kids, they're wearing their schleppy clothes. Yeah. And again, I'll go back to, we deserve better than mediocrity. We are that high performer, right? And so I always tell my clients, because they are of this expansive thinking, when that type of client or that type of woman is very cognizant of how she starts her day, right? We all now know, especially those that are listening to podcasts, we know what we put into our brain is very important. And, so we're all at this point now where we're talking about priming our days, like getting up in the morning, we pray, we journal, we move our bodies. I get on my exercise bike. I get in my cold tub after I'm in the, exercise bike, so that I can kind of chill out my brain and get started for the day. And then I listen to my podcasts. But sometimes I think what women are doing is they're kind of leaving it there, right? And then not putting that same intentionality into how they're getting ready. And I call it get up, suit up, and show up. And so at that point, go into the shower, if it's day 4, ladies, wash your hair, take that extra time and put the conditioner in, and, wash your face and shave your legs, do all those kind things for ourselves. Because when we're moms and we're entrepreneurs and we're all these things, we tend to rush through that part, right? And it doesn't mean we have to put a full face of makeup on if that's not what we desire, but put your skincare on, take care of that body, take care of that temple, so that you can fully embody those gifts, right? Go into your wardrobe. If it's a Monday, put on your best dress. Like, why not? You don't have to save it for Saturday night. Don't save your clothes. You know, there shouldn't be anything in your wardrobe that you don't love, that doesn't make you feel great. So when you walk out there into the world, like I was saying, you know, you're really not only feeling great, you're attracting those that you serve.
Right. Now, I would say I am definitely at fault for not feeling worthy, I guess, maybe, of the more expensive clothing, or the better quality clothing. I think a lot of that also comes from I'm very frugal for the most part with my finances, and my friends will literally make fun of me because I still have some clothes from like college and high school. No joke. Like I really honestly do. So my friends do make fun of me. Um but I also think that it kind of comes from a little bit of like just being in Nebraska. Like I'm not going to put on a dress when it's negative 10 degrees outside. You know what I mean? So like I don't know. And I honestly, I probably just don't know enough about fashion and what looks good on me, what doesn't, what I'm comfortable wearing, what I'm not comfortable wearing. That I don't make it a priority. But I also see people on social media or I meet people in person. I'm like, that is so cute. Like, why can't I pull that off? Why don't I do stuff like that? But I also don't go out and shop, so I can't expect to have these beautiful articles of clothing and then not, you know what I mean? So like I guess what do you do when you come across people who just don't show?
You are, you are not unique in anything that you're saying, Shay. This is how most women feel. The first thing I'll say is when we're hanging on to things that are from that past, you know, our previous life, or because you know, as women, we're constantly going through different seasons and transitioning and you know babies and marriage and then we're going back into the workforce and all these things. When we have clothing in our wardrobes that are from that past, that are from college or from something else, it really derails our progress and it keeps us in that feeling of push. And I know so many women that don't invest in their wardrobes. Like you said, Shay, number one, they don't feel worthy. And I know that sounds strange because as the high performing woman, we are confident. Like we are confident, but sometimes we don't feel worthy because we feel like we have to do it all. And I know that, you know, in the business that you're in the community that you have, that I'm sure that's a really big thing because when we have children and we're working and we have a husband, like we want the best for them. And so sometimes we put ourselves at the lowest end of the totem pole. And because we feel that they're more worthy than we are. We want to lift them up, right? And so there's that piece of it. But then there's the confusion piece. Like, it's great that we have social media. It's great that you can go on Pinterest and start looking at what's my style and whatever. But really, at the end of the day, looking outside for your style is not the answer. Looking outside is fine when you know what feels good on your body, when you've really determined these are my goals, this is where I'm stepping into. As maybe you're as a realtor, for example, like, and I'm going to be showing, $1 million homes or $1 billion homes. I know I need to be wearing these things. You don't need to be looking on Instagram and saying, oh, this influencer is wearing this outfit. I'm going to click and buy whatever it is. It might be from Amazon. I'm not saying Amazon is terrible, but it might be cheap, right? You click and buy, comes in the mail because you don't have time to go shopping. You're a professional woman. Put it on, you look in the mirror, and it looks terrible. And all you can see is you're looking at your hips or you're looking at your belly and you're looking back at the model that had it on or the influencer and going, it looks terrible on me. It did not look like that on her. So basically what's happening, and this is where I get so annoyed with what happens in the fashion world. Because it's all about, they want you to click and buy, right? Even if it's cheap, they want you to click and buy. Those fabrics are probably really crappy. Like they haven't put it together nicely. Once we've had children and our bodies are not as hard as they once were, and you put on really bad fabric, it's going to create lumps and bumps. That doesn't mean that your body isn't great. It means that you're wearing cheap clothing. That fine, at 19, 20, you could put that on and it was fine. But at this point, it's not about going and looking exterior. It's about first discovering, where am I stepping into? What does that lifestyle look like? Let me look at getting great fit and great fabric. And I know some women don't know. They just don't know where to look for it. And that's why I'm here. Like, I'm here to help women with that. The reason why I carry an inventory of clothing, number one, it's easier for me because I have the clothing at hand, and I do style boxes with my clients. They also, some of them will travel to me even and come to my studio boutique. But I'm buying things that I know women need. Most stores and online, what you're seeing is, because women buy, I mean, we buy on emotion, right? And so what happens is people are buying more novelty pieces than they are those core pieces, or they're buying things that like look good on the hanger, or they look good on the model, or they look good on social media, but they're not buying the things that are actually going to lay on their body nicely. And so a lot of the things that I carry are core pieces, because when you have great fit and great fabric of things that are fairly basic, it's going to highlight the best parts of you. And then you can take your details. You know, you could buy a novelty jacket, you know, that has some, you know, even, you know, sparkle or something to it. Like we're seeing lots of metallics now, but you have that core basic underneath it. You're going to always wear. It's always going to look good. And you can mix and match those pieces in such a way that there's a strategy to it. So you're not, you know, going in your closet every day and only wearing that rotation of 6 outfits. And then 80% of it is just collecting dust, and it's creating anxiety because you're walking in and seeing the stack of jeans that don't fit, that you think one day these are going to fit me and look great. And we're shaming ourselves. Like, we deserve to have really beautiful things, because when we invest in ourselves, we actually, in the long run, if you're investing in great pieces, you're actually saving in the long run, because you're not making the mistakes of continuously rebuying and not wearing it. And then the other piece of it is, when you feel great in your clothes, when you're putting that intentionality into how you're caring for yourself, how you're caring for your body, and you're feeling better, we're able to hold the space better with our children. We go on date night and we feel sexy. And I hope this is okay that I say this, but my clients are having sex, and they're like, I'm having sex with my husband now. And he always thought I was beautiful, but now that I feel great, I want to do it more. And so it's deepening your relationships, and then the success, right, in your business. And so really making that investment is also making an investment in your family and the people that love you, and in the people that you're serving, your clients, because you're then the best version of you. When a woman feels beautiful, she is able to be her truest, most authentic self. And I know many women that are really smart, that are in business, that are, you know, these go-getters, they feel like they should just know how to dress themselves. And then they feel a little bit ashamed of themselves for, you know, wanting to look beautiful. They think it's superficial, and it's not about that. But it is. It really is. And the reason why I say that is, I grew up most of my life, until I was really getting into this business and seeing these transformations, I grew up thinking that I was superficial because I loved fashion and I loved beauty. And reason being, and I won't get into my whole childhood, but I grew up living off the land. We had no electricity, no running water. We had a hand pump. We had an outhouse. My job, starting at about 7, 8 years old, was to take a pee potty out to an outhouse that people had peed in all night and dump it in there. And so my clothes were from Salvation Army, and I would spend hours and hours as a young child, from like starting at age 4, putting outfits together and making all these different looks with my Salvation Army clothes and pretending that I was anywhere but where I was. I felt like a complete misfit being in this life that I was living. And I thought that I was superficial until I realized, as I started to help women transform, as I started to lean into my gift of helping women step into their power, I realized the power of how you physically show up.
Oh yeah, I believe that. I believe that. They always say when you look good, you feel good. When you look good, you feel good. And for me, that's always been like physically, like when I feel good physically and working out and eating right, like then I do really well, which is totally true. But fashion has never been something in my life. Predominantly, and but I know it's a very important aspect because like I said, like I see these women walk around and they look so good, like they look confident, and I'm like, well, I'm confident, but then I might be wearing jeans and a nice shirt, or I'll wear dresses and heels, but not as often, especially in the winter months. But how do you get people to start loving the fashion? Because I going back to like the whole sex thing, I mean that's physically when you feel good and look good, you want to have sex more often. I imagine like when you're doing like fashion and you look good in your clothes, you're going to start eating better, you're going to start working out more, you're going to have that physical relationship with your significant other. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a snowball effect in all aspects of life. So how do you get somebody, I mean, like, I guess I'm sold on this whole fashion thing. So like I want that. I want that. I want to get up in the morning and know what looks good on me, put it on, and walk out the door looking even more confident.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a couple things. Number one, like I said, is doing that exercise with me to really determine where you want to go and feel worthy of like wanting something more for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then once you discover who that woman is that you're ready to step into, ensure that in every aspect of your life, like I was mentioning, Shae, that you put the intentionality into putting something on that feels great. So I think oftentimes, and I come from up north, being in Maine, and then I lived in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. So I understand the whole thing about, yeah, you have to like wear clothes that are warm.
Yeah.
But when you're wearing great fabric, so like even if you're wearing athleisure clothes and you put things on that feel really good, that are put together, because so many women don't know how to do the in between. With my community, we just did a whole segment on the in between of like, I'm working from home today. I'm not really on many Zoom calls. I might go out and get coffee. Like, how do I just put on my workout clothes? Like really, putting that intentionality into every aspect is really important, because you're showing up for yourself. It's not about anybody else, first and foremost. The next part of it is when I'm working with someone, when they first come to me, I know this may sound terrible, but number one, I'm vetting them. I'm vetting them to find out, are they ready for the expansion that's about to happen? So I need to know that they, and most women that attract to me are that woman, probably because I'm that person as well. In our businesses, as we grow, like our clientele grows to a different type, right? And so typically when we begin working together, she's handing herself over to me. It's a big trust. It's very vulnerable. Like I'm holding space with her. She's literally like stripping down in front of me, like figuratively and really stripping down in front of me. It's sharing things that she may not share with her friends because she sees her friends out there looking confident or whatever. And every woman has their issue that they don't love. And they share it with me because they feel held. They feel seen, heard, and held. And it literally, I have the ability to do that with her very quickly. And I'm starting to fully realize what my power and my gifts and like this is 2025 really for me is about claiming that that is what I'm really good at. And so when she can trust me and trust me as her advisor, as her as the expert in the field that I'm in, really it's about her taking the action. So I teach her what outfits to put on, and then she literally just has to get up, suit up, and show up in what I've suggested for her. And at first it'll feel uncomfortable. Like there's almost this feeling, even it's interesting because like she can look in the mirror and go, oh my gosh, I feel incredible. I look so beautiful. But then she has to walk in the boardroom or she has to like walk into a space and eyes start looking at her. And she's being seen almost for the first time in a way, and it's overwhelming. And so that's where the coaching as well comes in. And like being there to hold that space with her when she is feeling uncomfortable, and we have to get on our call and talk about that. And I encourage her to continuously take the action, because sometimes it's a matter of being what we want to be before we actually even see it for ourselves or feel comfortable there, right? And so that's really how we begin this process. And I think it's really important for women to invest in themselves if it's not, with me one-on-one right away, because sometimes women aren't ready. Right. They're just not ready for it. They're in a season of life where they're just so like in it, like maybe they have a baby and a toddler and they're running around and they're like, I don't have time to put into myself. But once that time is available to them to really invest, I wish I would have invested in myself earlier. Like I wish I would have invested in a coach and someone that could really help me. I built this business on my own. Like I was listening to the podcasts and anything I could and encouraging myself, but like it takes a village. I think as women, we need to be here for each other. And so that's the other thing about what I'm doing is that I love to take this holistic approach. I love to suggest to my clients that they work with other people to, make, health being very important. Like I have a Pilates instructor that I refer out to other people. I have people that I refer for skin and all these different things. Because I truly believe that as women, as moms, as entrepreneurs, we need to care for ourselves so we can be best version for ourselves and everyone else.
Right. I know taking care of yourself is the most important thing, especially as a mompreneur and a mom.
Yeah.
We so easily put ourselves on the back burner because of our kids and our husbands and the activities. But then everything else just kind of starts to crumble. Like if you don't feel and look good, you're not going to be showing up as your best self. And you said it right. I mean, it takes a village. You have people that you can refer other people out for these specific things because we can't do it all. You can't be the yoga instructor. You can't be the face cleansing person. You can't be the fashionista. You can't be the best real estate agent. You can't do all of it. You have to have people that you can reach out to when you are having issues with something. If I know fashion's not my thing, so I can reach out to you like, hey, here's my struggles. What do I need to do? But I really like how you actually go dive deeper when it comes to fashion instead of like just what you wear. Like you're getting to the psychological side of things for the women because we're not always seen, we're not always heard, and we're certainly not always held. So when we can feel that comfort, even if it is just a Zoom call, we can open up to the individual or to you a lot more and really figure out what it is that we are wanting, because I know that that's probably my struggle too. I don't like going deep. I don't like going into emotions. I don't like doing all of that stuff. So I don't. And I have people ask me like, well, what do you do for hobby? I'm like, I don't know, real estate. Like I don't have anything like that's my hobby. I think like my
Yeah.
kids, my real estate. But I don't have like a hobby or I struggle with clarity. Where do I really want to go? Like I have an idea,
Yeah.
but Yeah, I don't know. It's a battle, as mompreneurs, and it's so nice to hear that you dive deeper than just surface level clothes.
Yeah. I mean, I can do all the you know, the what's going to look great on your body and put it all together for you, and then take the guesswork out, and then really focus on other things. Like really put our focus where we want to put our focus.
Yeah.
One thing I will say, and this has nothing to do with fashion, Shay, it was just something that you said that made me like think that I should probably say something about this because I hear it all the time, especially from moms. They have this feeling like this or that. Like they
Hmm.
have this feeling of like I have to choose,
Hmm.
right? Or I don't get an opportunity to go in and find a hobby or do all,
Hmm.
do what I really want to be doing. I have to like I'm one way at work, I'm one way at home, but I desire to do multiple things, but I have to choose. And I think as women, because we are so good at like doing it all, I think we can have it all. I don't think we have to choose.
Hmm.
I think that if we, just as an example, as a mom, if we want to work, but we have young children at home, and we are maybe a realtor or whatever, like, I think it's fun, like work from home, like you mentioned before we got on, like your kids are home today, like
Hmm.
we can do it, and I think we learned during the pandemic too. It's like
Oh yeah.
we can be at we have to then teach our kids school because we're at home and kids are running in front of the camera like and we're getting embarrassed by it, like I'm sorry, I'm on a professional call, like let's just be who we are and be best version of ourselves and allow, I think as women, leveraging our femininity
Hmm.
is a really big thing. I see women all the time, even in business, working with men and being in male dominated companies and feeling like they have to turn off their feminine side. They have to be hard. They have to be professional. But as women, we have a really strong intuition.
Hmm.
We maybe are more emotional, we're more caregivers, and we can bring those aspects into how we serve our clients, how we manage our employees, and
Hmm.
really leverage it. I think we're in this world now of let's just be who we truly authentically are, and that's powerful.
Right.
We are in our power and we can be professional in that space. And so I do use clothing to help women get in touch with that femininity too.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And especially as mompreneurs or entrepreneurs, sometimes it is hard to step away from the masculine side of things, especially I'm not a single mom, but I would imagine that somebody who is a single mom and running their own business, they're probably like going on their masculine energy 99.9% of the time, which we as women need to have that feminine side of things. And I
Mhm.
noticed that like when we come home, my husband has kind of taken over the role of making supper at night. And I will tell you that has been a huge stress reliever. Like it's to the point where he's like, "Hey, what do you want for supper?" I'm like, "I don't know. If you're not going to make anything, I'm having cereal or something that's super easy because
Yeah.
I am done making decisions at that point in time."
Yeah.
But we do, as women, need to have that feminine energy, and I can imagine that fashion is where a lot of women can show their
Mhm.
feminine side.
I have a really good story, but I don't know if we're out of time.
Go for it.
Okay. I had this woman that she had reached out to me, and she worked in a very male dominated office and profession. She had been in finance for about 20 years and worked in this firm, and she was in a higher position. She was one of their top performers. Um, and when they would go and have their meetings and be in the boardroom, it was mostly men. And at that time, she was in that phase of like, there were things about her body she didn't love. She was covering up. She was wearing like suits that were more like stiff and like cover up and very more like she was inserting herself into like the man's world, that kind of thing, and not playing with fashion or feminine or any of that, just feeling like when she was at work, she had to be almost on her guard even. Like, and she would tell me how she would sit in these boardrooms and feel invisible. Like the men weren't asking her opinion. Sometimes they would even, do a share and have an idea. And it was really her idea that she had told them when she was, near her desk talking or near the water cooler. And she said she just didn't feel great in her office, so she would work from home a lot. Then the shift happened. We started working together, and we discovered she was wearing the wrong size clothes, first of all. Like, she was actually 2 to 3 sizes smaller than what she was wearing. I started to give her these beautiful blouses that had some even like floral patterns and different colors and things in them, and then she would wear it with her trousers, and like she would still wear a suit jacket, but she'd play a little bit with the shoes and maybe do a color or do more with her jewelry and that kind of thing. And she said at first she was like, she felt completely exposed, like her belly was showing or people are looking at her butt or all these different things. She said, and I was walking to work one day, I'd gotten off the bus, I was walking to work, and I caught my reflection in like a store window. And she said, I looked, and then I had to look again, and I saw that I had this beautiful like shape. Like, I was wearing these fitted clothes, Jessica, and I could see like my waistline, and I felt like really good about myself. I felt pretty. I walked into the office that day, and I just felt better. And we went in the conference room, and she said the men that were there were not passing by me anymore. They were asking my opinion, and it was so incredible. I had never experienced this before. And I said, well, tell me, Laura, why do you think the shift happened with how, people were treating you, or these men were treating you? And she said, they didn't change, I changed. Mm-hmm. They were exactly the same. She said, but in my mind before, like when I didn't want to be seen, right, they were picking up on the fact that I didn't want to be seen. And now I'm sitting in this boardroom, and I felt so good, and they could feel it. And right. So, that's the other piece of it too, where women can allow this femininity to come through and work with men and put that other spin on it and like really, mix those two together.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can see that. I can see how that would just like make her confidence just glow. And then men especially, they do pick up on that. They pick up on that. And women, I can see pick up on it and maybe almost feel I'm drawing a blank on.
I think I know where you're going.
They feel like not scared of the other woman, but when a woman walks in,
intimidated.
There you go. Oh my gosh, it's an easy word, intimidated.
No, but it's really interesting that you're bringing this up. So this is part of the thing that happens when I'm working with someone. I also know I need to be there in a coaching kind of capacity as well. And I work with clients, like some people sign up with me for a full year. A full year, sometimes 6 months. But along this journey, because I get to be like there on the journey with them as they start to transform. What's interesting about what happens is they start to repel almost people in their lives that really aren't serving them. Almost like when they got rid of the clothes that weren't serving them.
Right. I can see
And
that.
it's what you just mentioned, because people that are not operating at a high frequency, or that are not putting themselves like in the arena, so to speak. I don't know who has heard of Brene Brown, but they're kind of peering in. Once you get in the arena, once your level of frequency goes up, once you're ready to fully show up in your power, it irritates those that are not meant to be part of your circle. It irritates them. And so there's a piece of shedding sometimes of some of the negative in your life. But then the beautiful thing is, and I always believe like something has to die for something to be born. Like that's when you start to attract people into your life that complement you.
Right.
And when I say complement, I mean enhance your life,
Right.
right?
Right.
That make it, that challenge you, that you can not only celebrate wins with, you can share the challenges that you have, and those people desire to lift you up. It's
Mhm.
this beautiful space, and I know I'm talking about it with such passion, but it's because that has been my life. Like,
Right.
I did not realize for so many years that there were women out there that weren't jealous, that weren't, that desired to lift other women up,
Yeah.
that didn't want to just like, if it was in business, like feel like they had all the clients and they couldn't share and that. And
Mhm.
it's just, and I know you have this beautiful community where
Mhm.
you're, teaching these moms like how to be a part of something like that.
Right.
And I just think it's so beautiful. It's so incredible. And we're at a different day and age where we're able to like have these communities where we didn't have them years ago. I
Right.
think that was the most beautiful thing about the pandemic is we learned how to connect because we're hardwired for connection. We learned how to connect deeper even by not being in person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very much so. And I think we also realize, especially after COVID, that there are more women like us who are wanting to support and lift each other up and cheer each other on. I don't take somebody else's threat as envy or jealousy. I'm like, shit, that's amazing. How can I do that?
Yeah.
Like, how can I level up to another? I don't take it as, oh, she just thinks she's better than me. No, that's the negative mentality. I don't have energy for that. I don't have time for that. So creating this community, especially here locally, has really been a huge benefit. And it's fun to watch the other women connect, not only in their businesses and working together in their businesses, but also on more of like a personal relationship. It's fun to see that. I don't know if they notice I'm seeing it,
Yeah.
but I see like people working with this person instead, and they had been working with this other person for many many years, but now that they have this relationship with this woman, it's really fun to see everybody lifting each other up. Like, we don't have negativity, we're not tearing people down. And that's really what I want this podcast to be about too, is like sharing everybody's story and celebrating your wins. Yes, we're going to have failures, yes, we're going to have losses,
Mhm.
but we just got to keep going, and we need that community and that tribe around us to help lift us up during those hard times. So,
Yeah.
Jessica, I think this is a perfect time to tell our listeners, if you were to go back and do it all over again, or if you know of somebody who's going to be just getting into the entrepreneurship world, what is one piece of advice that you would give them?
Well, first of all, I have to say, I wouldn't do anything differently.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do one thing differently because, um, like, I definitely got my ass kicked many, many times. And that's because I put myself out there. But I learned so much. And I really think the only way to do it is just do it.
Yeah.
When I first started my company, so I literally, I would say it was almost like, and this might sound a little crazy to some people, but it was almost like a spiritual awakening. That is
Oh, I
the
love
only way I
it.
can describe it.
Yeah.
It was the realization. So I remember exactly where I was. I was driving to I worked at a boutique. I was the sales manager for a high-end boutique in med spa. And I knew that I was meant for more. Like, I knew I could make deeper impact, but I told myself that I couldn't, or that I wasn't worthy of doing it, or that I had to be mindful of my family, and I couldn't, we couldn't afford for me to start a company and not have health insurance, or there to be a gap in what I was making, because we were literally just getting by.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had this feeling that what I loved and what I wanted to do was selfish. But I was driving to work one day, stopped at a stoplight, listening to Tony Robbins. And in that particular podcast, he was talking about when you know you have a gift to share with the world, Like you really know it. And we all know, like we all have a knowing. I think it's a matter of have we tapped into it. But I had the knowing. I knew what it was. And what he said was, if you have this knowing and you choose out of fear not to fully lean in what you know you were designed to do, that is completely selfish. And I remember like sitting there in my car and I'm like, how is that selfish? Like I'm trying to think about my family. Like I felt like Tony was talking to me.
Yeah.
And and then he said, his next sentence was, the reason why it's selfish is because when you know you have this gift, there are people that need to receive it. So if you choose not to lean in and go for it, you are preventing those that need that gift to experience that gift and to then experience transformation in their own lives. And that is extremely selfish. And I remember that day. And when these things happen to us, when we have these realizations, because I feel like I do believe transformation in our lives can happen in moments. That was my moment. And I chose to listen. Sometimes it's a tap on the shoulder. Sometimes it's like this whisper. We have to pay attention because that day when I got to work and I walked in those double doors and it was a huge boutique. It was massive and it was this huge building. And I remember I walked in that day and everything seemed small. Like the fixtures seemed small, and I walked in and it was like the whole thing was like caving in on me. And I think that, once we are at that point where we know, we have to go for it. Yes, we have to have strategy. We have to, like you said, Shae, like we have to have that tribe around us. We don't need to do it alone. And so that's what I would say. I would say lean in. Don't take those whispers or those thoughts and go, when you're having that moment of dreaming, like, this is what I really want to do, don't turn it off. Lean into it. Imagine what your life could be and go for the thing. But get people to help you, the right people.
Very much so. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. So, Jessica, where can somebody go to get connected with you, get an appointment set up with you? How can they get in touch?
Well, first of all, I recommend that everyone follows me on social media. We put so much content out there. It's not always super easy to do. I have a team that helps me, but we want to, really influence and put the message out there. And like I was mentioning, Shae, there's so much on social media now about fashion, and I feel sometimes like it's almost, some of it shames us as women. When I hear people say things like, well, I'm a pear shape, so I can't wear this and I can't wear that. I'm so the opposite of that. I'm really about empowering women through fashion. And so I really encourage people to follow me there at the Jessica Papineau on Instagram. We just changed my Facebook because it was confusing. It's CSJ Styling on Facebook, and I'm not sure what the other ones are, but you can Google me. I'm there. I offer to those that have interest a free styling call where we can really dive into, what are your needs? What are some of the struggles that you're currently having? And let's put a plan together and I can meet you where you are. There's 3 ways basically that you can work with me. Number 1 is I have a digital course and it's called Simplify and Elevate. It's my 4-step process, a DIY of, how to do this for yourself. So if someone is at that point, like I see a lot of women that are just graduating college even and that sort of thing. Like, I'm a grown up now. What do I do? Like they're using this course, right? They're not at a place where they're going to work one-on-one with me just yet. We also have a mastermind. And our mastermind is aligned to Rise. And in that space, we have an app. I created a custom app, which that is one thing. I don't know if I would do that again. That was a lot of work. My whole reason for doing it was that I felt like if I did it on Facebook, I wasn't sure Meta was going to own it. Like I had this whole thing about it.
Yeah.
And I wanted this beautiful container to really have the women that I serve, that high performing woman, have a place where they can, like we were talking about, celebrate those wins, talk about our challenges, feel vulnerable, connect, relationally with other women. So we do a lot of networking in there. We're going to be increasing that to twice a month. We have events where I introduce the women to each other. I get each woman to talk a little bit about her business, about her gifts, what she feels she wants to pour into the group. And then I have her share a need that she has so that we can kind of all rally around her. We have guest expert speakers like yourself, Shae, and I think you're coming in. I don't know the date, but I know you're coming in to
I think
kind of
it's
pour
April, if I remember right.
to
So,
pour into the community.
yeah.
So I'm really excited about that. Now we do live webinars, but people can watch them back in the app. We have a community in there, like a live feed, like Instagram. And then the really cool thing about our mastermind is you get all kinds of really great fashion resources. So as being part of that mastermind, you do get the digital course. We have all kinds of other resources in there, like a packing toolkit, how to pack for a trip. Let's see, what else? I do live demonstrations. We'll dive deeper into modules that we have of the course, and I'll do a lot of like demonstration. We have fun. We just have a lot of fun in there. And then to work one-on-one with me, I can serve up to 15 women at one time. When you're working one-on-one with me, I think I described a little bit about what that process looks like. We do have our studio boutique. And then in this space, most of my clients are virtual. So I will put together style boxes for them, and I create outfits in their own personal lookbook. So it's another app. We actually have two apps.
Oh my gosh.
And so the other app is their virtual closet. And within that closet is where I make their lookbooks, and I pack them for their trips. They literally do not have to think. When they walk in their wardrobe every day, like they already have it on their phone. So I do it per month, and then also if they have like an event or whatever, I indicate on the lookbook, on the outfit. And I know visually you're probably like, what are you talking about?
Right.
And so they're planned. And we have our monthly calls. A big part of what I'm doing, it's not just the outfits. I mean, I do that on the back end for them too, and they see it in real time. But I also am like on their advisory board. Like I have such connection to amazing entrepreneurial women, and I want women to connect to one another. They can do really great collaborations, podcast shares, or you hear about, like, I work with a lot of keynote speakers. Sometimes the keynote speaker hears about a certain event and the other person, isn't the right fit, so they connect that person. So it really is, I would say it's really a movement, and I'm coming at it from, the fashion aspect, and I've kind of created something unique, special, and for that high performing woman. And so you have a link, I believe, for the freestyling call. And I'm also gifting your people that are listening. I'm good. We're good. Okay. Okay. I can't remember where I left off. Shay. Oh, I'm gifting those that are listening or watching. In the show notes, there'll be a link. You can actually download um, the first lesson of my digital course. Um, yeah, so you'll get that and a freestyling call if you so desire to speak with me. Thank you so much. I so appreciate you having me on and getting connected to you. I can't wait to have you in my community.
And that wraps up another inspiring episode of the Real Moms Podcast. A huge thank you to our incredible guests for sharing their story and insights today. If you found value in today's conversation, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And hey, sharing is caring, right? Share this podcast with your fellow mompreneurs, friends, and anyone who you feel could use a dose of inspiration. Share it on your social media as well. But most importantly, if you found this episode helpful, please leave me a 5-star review. This helps get our information out to those who have never heard or seen us before. Are you feeling inspired and you're sure that you could add some value to the podcast? Shoot me a message and let's talk. We love hearing from you. So connect with us on social media. Tag me at Shae J Spitz, that's ShaeJSpitz, and share your thoughts and takeaways, or even suggest topics you'd like to have us explore more in the future episodes. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. Your resilience is your strength, and your pursuit of abundant living is truly remarkable. As always, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep embracing the beautiful chaos of being a mompreneur. Until next time, take care, stay real, and keep living abundantly.